If there's one position that modern humans need the most, it is the back bridge. Nowadays, people spend 10 or more hours in a seated position with their hips locked in one place, with their shoulders collapsed forward, with their spines hunched over their devices, and this creates a cascade of problems. And the back bridge is the perfect antidote to this because it strengthens and stretches us in the exact opposite direction. Now, I know what you might be thinking, how on earth can I get into this position? Don't worry, I will outline the progressions later on in the video from beginner all the way through to advanced. But first, what I want to do is just discuss the 3 main problems that the back bridge addresses. Okay, let's dive into it. So the first main problem that the back bridge addresses is tight thoracic spines. This refers to the mid/upper back region, and this area gets very tight because we're constantly collapsed, we're constantly inactive, hunched forwards, and this makes extension, i.e. opening the spine, very difficult, and this is why a lot of us struggle to maintain good posture. Now, when we go into a back bridge, we're forced to arch the whole body, which means the thoracic spine is forced to extend and to open up. This also means we're getting a lovely stretch through all of the front of the body, which tends to be shortened on a day-to-day basis. Now, not only does this improve our aesthetic, i.e. we're not hunched forward, it also helps us to rotate the spine. It also helps us to reach overhead properly. It also helps us to rotate our shoulders properly. And this is great for sport and just general day-to-day movement. Okay, the second main problem that the back bridge addresses is tight hip flexors. So many people in today's society have very tight, short hip flexors because when we're sitting, our hips are constantly in a flexed position, which means all the muscles along the front of the thigh are getting shorter and shorter. This also creates problems like anterior pelvic tilts and lower back pain. But I'll save that for another video. When we're in the back bridge, we're training the opposite range to hip flexion, which is hip extension. So we're creating length through the front of the thigh and really opening up all those muscles. The third main problem that the back bridge addresses is limited shoulder mobility. A lot of us nowadays struggle to reach overhead properly or to rotate the shoulder because, again, we're collapsed forward, the shoulders are internally rotated, and this makes us more susceptible to shoulder impingements and other injuries. When we're in the back bridge, we're pushing into shoulder flexion, i.e. the arm is above the head, and this really helps us to open up that range without compensating through the lower back. We're also working on shoulder external rotation, i.e. we're twisting the shoulder back when we're in the back bridge, which goes against the classic internally rotated position that we all find ourselves in on a day-to-day basis when working at the desk or looking down at our devices. So those are the 3 main problems that the back bridge addresses for modern humans. Let's now go through the progressions from beginner all the way through to your full bridge. So the first progression is a reverse tabletop. This is such a fundamental movement, and I program it for most of my clients who are working at a desk for many hours every day. It's the perfect antidote to the desk work. We're working on pulling the shoulders back, rotating the shoulders back, we're driving the hips up to get a stretch through the front of the thigh and the front of the body. So it's just an extremely valuable exercise. To set up, we want to have the hands and the feet relatively close towards each other so that our spine is starting with a little bit of an extension, with a little bit of an arch. And then from here, we want to drive the hips up and really squeeze the shoulder blades together. We want to work on this movement until we're able to find a flat tabletop-like structure, and we want to be able to confidently do 3 sets of 10 reps. From here, we're going to move to a crab reach as our second progression. This is basically a single arm variation of the reverse tabletop, and this allows us to get more of an arch with the body. It allows us to find a more overhead position with the shoulders. It allows us to get more shoulder rotation and just a deeper stretch through the front of the body, the hip flexors and the quads. With this, we want to again work on 3 sets of 10 reps, and we want to stay with this progression until we're able to find a really nice clean arch shape with the body. The third progression is going to be a foot elevated bridge. Having your feet elevated reduces the demand from the mid/upper back, which is where a lot of us are very tight, and it just helps us ease into that full position. The second thing we can use to our advantage is having the hands on yoga blocks so that the wrist extension demand is also reduced. A lot of us are very tight through kind of the fascia along the front of the arm, so having the yoga blocks is really valuable for support here. How we want to enter this position is we want to kind of push up and just sit on top of the head. From here, we want to feel like we're pushing the floor away from us with the glutes active, and it's going to be the case that you're not able to fully straighten the arms in the early phase, but it's something that you're going to work towards. We want to do 3 sets of 20-second holds. Once you are able to fully straighten the arms, we can then look to take away the yoga blocks so that we're starting to stretch and open up the wrist extension. Then we also want to look to reduce the height of the feet until we're on a surface that is the height of the knees. Once you're able to confidently get to this position, we can move to progression 4, which is going to be a straight leg elevated bridge. So we're setting up exactly as we did before, but now we're working to straighten the legs. We can do this both dynamically, so moving in and out of a bent leg to a straight leg position, or we can just work to hold that straight position for time. We want to continue to work on this progression until we are able to fully straighten the legs. Once you're able to hold that position for 3 sets of 20 seconds, we're going to move down to the floor. So we're taking away the foot elevation. At this point, we can reintroduce the yoga blocks because the wrist extension is going to be now more demanding. And then again, we probably are going to work on more of a low bridge position in the early phase when we're not able to fully extend the arms, but we want to be continually trying to push the floor more and more away from us until we are able to fully extend the arms. Again, once you're ready, you can take away the yoga blocks. The final progression here is going to be similar to what we did in the box, in that you're going to work towards trying to straighten the legs more and more. Now, with all these progressions, don't progress at such a pace where you're really putting stress into the lower back. You want to make sure that most of the extension is coming from the mid and upper back region. I've seen so many people try and push really fast with this, and they put a lot of strain on their lower back, and it can lead to injuries and complications. So make sure that when you're going through these progressions, you're keeping your glutes nice and strong and active so that you're keeping the lower back braced and you're not just collapsing into the lumbar spine. Cool, guys, so there's a really clear roadmap for you. The next thing, as you go through these progressions, you're going to find a number of limitations, and I'm just going to outline them now and give you some exercises to help you with them. So the first thing that people really struggle with when they first approach a bridge is actually just having the strength to push into the bridge. So it might not be a flexibility limitation, it might literally just be that you cannot push up from the floor. If this is a limitation for you, I would work on dips. We need to strengthen the triceps. This can be as simple as bench dips. So having your hands behind you on a bench with the hands facing forwards and then lowering your hips to the floor. What we want to do to progress this over time is shift more and more weight into the hands until you're to the point where you've got like 80% of the weight in the hands and you're really driving the full movement from the triceps. The second problem that a lot of people face with the back bridge is that they just have loads of discomfort through the lower back. This typically happens when the hip flexors are really tight and they're pulling the pelvis forwards into an anterior tilt, creating loads of extension through the lumbar, which means when they enter the back bridge, most of the arch is happening from the lower back, and that is not what we want. To counter this, we can use an exercise like reverse Nordics to really strengthen and lengthen the hip flexors. This exercise is so valuable because it teaches you how to engage your glutes, how to properly work hip extension without arching the lower back. And with it, I like to do kind of 8 sets of 5 reps, but on each rep, I'll hold for a few seconds at the bottom so that I'm really learning how to brace when my hips are fully extended like they will be in a back bridge. The third limitation that I see with a lot of the clients that I work with is that their thoracic spine just won't open properly when they're in the back bend. So what we can do here is set up with the shoulder blades on a bench or a box or a surface, and then have the knees in towards the chest, which is going to stop the lower back from extending. So we're just working the mid and upper back. And then I'll get my client to simply reach their hands back, starting off with just a dowel stick, reaching their hands back and lowering the hips to the floor. And then they will be able to add weight to this. So they'll be able to add dumbbells or kettlebells. And then over time, they can just increase the resistance. I like to make this a dynamic movement in that they'll bring their hands up overhead and drive the hips up. And then they'll lower the hips to the floor as they reach back with their hands, so that they're really kind of creating that opening through the mid and upper back. Cool, guys, so we've gone through the main problems that the back bridge addresses, we've gone through the progressions, and we've gone through how to address any limitations that show up as you go through the training. I think that's everything you need. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and also let me know how you get on with the progressions. I'd also really appreciate if you guys can hit that subscribe button. This is a new account, so any new traction, followers, likes, engagement is very valuable to me at this stage. Awesome, guys, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next video.